And Shaliber on the other side for SoaR Gaming, you know, like we mentioned before, he's one of these players that needs to have some momentum, but despite not having that momentum in the early game, being down 0-2 to start, still relied on his frontliners and successfully transitioned into that mid to late game.
Shaliber might not have had the momentum, but the rest of his team did, and you could tell just how amped up the entirety of SoaR was. I mean, we could hear them nonstop shouting in the arena, and all of that, I think, really helped fuel Shaliber, but other than that factor from game number 1, I just really want to see a little bit more, so let's take a further look into Shaliber's mindset.
I played the mid lane for SoaR Gaming. I started off playing Smite pretty casually, but then in like the middle of Season 3, I got approached by Venenu, who he's the mid for Oxygen Supremacy, you probably know, and then I played with them for a little while. We lost in relegations, and then I was like, I'm going to switch to Xbox. So I did that, and had a pretty good run. Teamed with Chapo, Brochacho, Uzi, Stormy. We made it to the finals in Worlds, where unfortunately lost to Mifflin, which was pretty bad. But hopefully we'll make a comeback now this season. I got new people on my team replacing Chapo and Uzi. And Brochacho, he decided to go to a different team, so obviously we're gonna look to beat him now, make him regret his decision. Our new team is definitely different than it was last season. Like, before we had Chapo and Brochacho, who were kind of like the leaders on the team. They were the ones that would always, like, especially at LAN, they were the ones that would be, be the hype men. They would be giving everyone confidence. Like, I remember my first LAN, I was super nervous. And like, Brochacho and Chapo, they were so good at just being like, you got this. Those guys, they ain't, like, we're gonna win. And, now that they're gone and we got new players, Kaeydan, Medieval, like, I feel like it's kind of like, me, Stormy, Zachsy, like, we gotta hype them up and fill that role now. My goals for this year, well, I definitely want to be a top team so I can go to Spain in the summer. I'm really looking forward to that. Right now, like this spring split, I think is more of like a growth split in a sense. Like, we have like 2 new players, so we gotta like, figure out like what we're good at, our strengths, our weaknesses, how we work together. But I want to stick with the same guys, hopefully the whole year and just keep growing, try and be good enough to go to Spain and then eventually Worlds. At this LAN, I'm not really scared of anyone, honestly. Like, we play RvL, who we destroyed last year. So unless they got better, I'm pretty sure it'll be a repeat. And then we got my guys, who we were the only team to take a game off of. Everyone else got stomped by them. We were the only team to split with them. I'm not going to lose to Mifflin again. I'm saying that right now. It will not happen.
That's pretty hot right there. A bit of a burn already being sent the way of RvL, especially with game number 1 going in favor of SoaR. It seems as though Shaliber might be onto something.
Definitely a different Shaliber than what I'm used to seeing. Like he mentioned before, how nervous he was in his first LAN, but this is about his 3rd or 4th LAN now in the console scene. So he has a lot of experience under his belt. It also helps out the 2 new rookies of this team, medievaldoc and Kaeydan Estelle. This is their first LAN as well.
It might be their first LAN, but you do have to consider the fact that Shaliber is definitely a player who's been around a little bit now, or at least long enough in the console scene. He mentioned it in the video even, I feel like one of the leaders of my team. And that is such an important attribute to have, especially for a player like him that's really meant to be sort of like a voice and controlling point for the side of SoaR.
Well, last time it was RvL targeting out Shaliber on the Zhong and Zeus, and already not going for the same option, taking away the Odin, which leads me to believe they're going for a very immobile mage in the form of either the Ra or the Isis.
Either an immobile mage composition or the potential healers of death that we've seen so often on the side of EU teams. They do tend to favor a little bit of the healing compositions. You could potentially see an Isis or a Ra, and no Odin in the presence means you have free reign with that.
But it's also a Nemesis ban, so maybe a Zhong is the option for RvL. Zeus and Kabrakan off the table for SoaR Gaming, and with RvL having this first pick, they're also leaving Chang'e and Scotty open after the Zhong pick.
That's the thing that I think is got to be RvL either being really confident or just really unaware to leave open the Susano, Scotty. I mean, SoaR opting for the Medusa here. Medusa is still a very strong pick in comparison to alongside Scotty, but the Susano, once again,
But do you think it could also be a Medusa in the mid lane, a Hunter versus an early game Zhong, which really doesn't do too much, I feel?
There's a very high possibility that we could be seeing the Medusa coming out for Shaliber, but whether or not he decides to roll with it, either way, this is already a pretty potent early game composition from SoaR, and RvL trying to counteract that with the Sylvanus and Bellona. And do you think that this is the right direction for RvL to lean towards as far as the matchup in Zhong is concerned?
Well, it's a consistent start for RvL, at least, because they've dedicated 3 frontliners in their team composition. Sylvanus and Bellona are going to be your Guardian and Soul laner more than likely, whereas Zhong is going to be your mid-mage, which is going to have that tanky frontline presence anyway, using his passive to get the protections from those souls, and he's just going to be charging and running at you full speed, and that's a lot of damage over time between the Sylvanus and Zhong.
Well, we saw in that game number 1 where it was actually Watson just getting completely chased down by SoaR with the Athena, the Susano, and then you just had Shaliber for the easy cleanups. How do you think a Zhong is going to face off against the Susano Scylla yet again? Do you think there's more survivability this time around, or?
Well, if you're the one that's going to be aggressing first, you don't really need to worry about being aggressed on. So that could be the game plan out of RvL. Just basically throw all the cards in SoaR Gaming and see what sticks.
And seeing what sticks is probably going to be the make it or break it point as far as RvL is concerned. Right now, with the Zhong, they need some lockdown potential. You've got the Sylvanus ultimate, you've got a Bellona hard stun with her ultimate, but it could still be a little bit questionable, don't you think?
Probably a Cupid would be good control out of the Hunter role. You would also add some more sustain to your team composition with the Sylvanus. You have that duo synergy pretty well for push power, making it a little bit more tricky for the Medusa, and that could be pretty good in the team fights when you're going all in. So now you have more sustain from the hearts and then even more control with that Fields of Love.
But you do have SoaR with the Bacchus, and even though it's not a taunt for the easy Scylla setup, you still have the flop, and knockup CC is still one of the best CCs in the game by far. So I'm really interested to see just how SoaR is going to utilize their setup potential.
Surprising to see the Anhur coming out of Team RvL. It's not one of these guys that's going to have a major crowd control ability in these team fights, but that pillar is going to provide so much slow for SoaR Gaming. If they don't have some sort of mobility modifier in the form of maybe sprint, even just to cleanse it, they're going to be basically walking through sand.
Well, we've got the final picks in for SoaR, and it's going to be an Osiris yet again in that solo lane for Stormy. That's a scary draft,
honestly,
again, from SoaR.
I like the aggression coming out of both of these teams personally, because obviously RvL, they're ready with their heavy front line composition, and SoaR Gaming, StormyRays on the Osiris yet again. I'm expecting a lot of early aggression here.
Well, it's time to find out if RvL can hang in there and be the redemption moment for the side of EU. But for now, we've got Hindu and F-Dot. Take it away.
First pick, Zhong. That's what we're taking a look at here, Team RvL. Now, as we said, Shaliber does have a strong Zhong, which is why we saw it banned earlier. But Watson, former solo laner, also has a Zhong.
I actually think RvL is just overestimating how strong Zhong is right now. I believe with what it's looking like right now, it looks like they are overvaluing it. They banned it away from Shaliber, and then because they weren't first pick, and in the moment they're first pick, they're going for Zhong over the likes of Skadi and Susano. Really surprising that we don't see a Skadi this game either. I think Zhong is a little bit overestimated here, but we'll see if RvL can really show me how good this is.
Well, they got it right the first time this time around. Let's jump into game number 2. Rapio still in the jungle on that Thor. Love it. But really, I mean, the question for me, and what I'm excited to see, honestly, is Watson on the Zhong. Like I said, former solo laner, so that tanky style is certainly in his wheelhouse. Made the transition over to mid, and I think that you can draw comparisons to the PC world. If you want to pick one of the mid laners, you're looking at probably Met Yankee, where he's done his job in the mid lane.
Sure.
But he could look a lot cleaner.
We'll see what Watson can do here, because since his role transition from solo to mid, I've not seen the same Watson of old that we saw in solo lane. What I do like, though, this time around, that RvL corrected the issue of the Hercules they had on their team for Gnome. Giving him Bellona is a little bit of a different situation for them. Further ranged engage or disengage if he requires it as well. And the matchup against Osiris isn't as doom and gloom as it is of a Hercules versus an Osiris.
I mean, Osiris is a basic attack character, and Bellona can shut off your basic attacks.
Sure.
I like it.
Also, there's no real way to stop the bludgeon damage for wave clear coming out on the side of Osiris unless he gets a tether early on.
Yeah.
And even then, that takes a second or two to really allow the stun to come through.
A lot of this game is we'll see how it works out. I think that sometimes you can come in and say, all right, well, I mean, this matchup goes this way, and a lot of it is just we'll see how it works. We got to take it off of the paper and into the practice. Big invade coming out for the guys on Team RvL in SoaR's jungle. They're able to sneak away the 2 little guys and become level 2.
Which gets them to level 2. That's a big key there. It's not necessarily about stealing the buff, but hitting level 2 ahead means you've got 2 abilities, more damage output, more survivability in these fights, extra base stats as well, which a lot of people underestimate.
And that's really what you're looking at here. Shaliber on the Scylla. Didn't think we'd be able to see this twice.
Not a big thing to really see an issue with that, though. Scylla played okay last game. The start was definitely something that he needs to watch the tape back and correct his issues. But as the game went on, did what he needed to. Got the damage output, secure kills over and over again, took out the frontline targets.
You know what, Hindu? If you ask me, I got to watch the game again. I only got to see it once, obviously. But if you ask me, game number 1 was delivered by Shaliber's Scylla and Stormy's Osiris. And those are the characters that get a reprieve.
Stormy, for me, was definitely the one that stood out more than anybody on the side of SoaR that game.
Yeah.
I think his performance there was fantastic. You could hear him in the shot calling too. Take into account, we've not really spoke about this too much, but Shaliber's interview jogged in my memory. SoaR's the only team that actually took a game of Astral Authority, the #1 team out of North America here. Like, knowing that, SoaR do have a lot to put on the pressure, as well as SoaR last year did defeat Team RvL.
Very, very interesting background for these guys. StormyRays in trouble, walks right on through the TP from Rapio. Not on the money. And StormyRays escapes a very scary situation where he should have died there.
It's one of those times when the passive comes into play. Not a lot of times passives really make a difference with things, but like that, against a Thor, the wall comes down, you got your passive up. Well, walls don't bother me here. I can just walk straight through them.
You can't say passives don't come into play. That's Bacchus' whole thing.
Not all the time, though. So some gods do, some gods don't. Like, times like that, they'll be more useful than others. Shout out to Isis. If you're on a team that doesn't get a single kill, you're not going to have a great time, are you?
All right.
You see, there's a few different passives that can happen. No, for example, if you're not in combat, you're not going to get any extra.
Very true, very true. Whereas a god like Thor is going to get it every time he shows up. All of a sudden, bam, look at that, surrounded by players.
Damage. Yep. But still, we're seeing this camping, not necessarily camping, but focus on the right-hand side from Rapio, staying in the solo lane the majority of the game, where SoaR, they actually gave up the right-hand side last time round and still went on to win the game by focusing around the red and purples.
There's different approaches, and that's what's so beautiful about Season 4 in my eyes, is the fact that you can go different approaches. You can take different steps to wind up with the same level of success.
Now, composition-wise, coming out from RvL this time around, we talked about how early on their game was this time. Well, some members of the team are still going to be that early game focus, like the Anhur. Sylvanus is fantastic too, but then you've got a bit better of a mid to late game with the likes of the Zhong. If you can get to that point in a decent stage, we mentioned the fact that Chaos was talking about you want to be at least even, or if you really want to be ahead, so you can really survive these engagements and turn it around. A lot of pressure on Watson here to make sure he continues to sustain farm up and at least keep equal place with the Scylla.
I want to touch on Watson one more time. This guy, I can't undervalue or speak enough about how highly he was regarded from the solo lane. JacobHL walks into 3 and pops the ultimate. Watson's the only one here. This is a very curious fight.
Very awkward fight, and the worst thing is most of the ultimates were wasted.
It's still
but
working.
Rapio's still going to get in there as he picks up Shaliber. Now with Mediev not going to have the Bacchus flop to get away. He's down, and now Kaeydan's in trouble too.
And that's a double kill for the jungler and the first kill for the support. I asked for it in game 1, and I got given it. Rapio, this is the performance that we're used to seeing from him online during the regular season. His team does weird stuff, and Rapio's there to help him out.
It was the most surprising engagement ever, though, because Jacob ults with the Wrath of Terror there, gets the ultimate off on one target, and everyone watches and goes, wait, what? And because the ultimate was used, RvL try and make sure it's worthwhile the use of the ult. At the same time, his SoaR is in panic stations immediately when the ult goes off, like, we're getting engaged on, panic, run for your lives! And that actually allows RvL to chase them down and set up the additional kills. Instead of everybody just walking away like they could have done, it was forced.
And great timing as well. They're able to pick up the some of the other nonsense on the right side of the map. Team RvL 3-0 early on. Just 5.5 deep, and we're already 2,000 gold up for Team RvL. And as we look at their composition, it's a little bit similar to what we saw last game in the sense that they're supposed to be up now, so SoaR aren't too mad about it. Remember, game one started in Team Rival's favor, 4-1 at one point.
True, but they need to be careful because when you see the net worth on the left-hand side, notice where Zachsy is. He's actually in amongst the rest of Team Rival in terms of gold lead, but Kaeydan now starting to have to rotate this side to pick up some farm to catch up himself. He's actually going to slow down how much of a lead Zachsy has, and it means Atonement will actually develop a lead because of that if that continues to happen.
Zachsy caught on the wrong side of the pillar, able to dash his way to safety. Not too big of a deal there. He'll head back to base and finish up his boots, so he's not looking for the stacks just yet. Just gonna go for the movement speed, which I think is the right game when he's got a player like Thor across the way looking to gank him.
Yeah, the movement speed will help him out in quite a few situations just to be able to move around a little bit better. Plus, it's an extra power spike too, which a lot of people don't necessarily take into account. It's not just the mobility you get from that, it is power spike too. But we're at that moment in the game now with all the camps pretty much being down across the map other than the Gold Fury. The both teams will just be looking to base, finish off some completed items, get a couple more wards for themselves, and set up the next objectives.
Yeah, it's all about looking for the next step. And right now, SoaR grouping up on the left side. All right, they're just cleaning out some vision. Thought we were going to see a cheeky-deeky Gold Fury.
I love the idea of Rapio comes to the left-hand side, though, to try to help out Atonement a little bit. I mentioned that earlier, but hang on a second. Watson pulled in by Kaeydan. Into the sky goes Rapio. 3 members down. He's straight back down, forcing the beats out of Kaeydan.
Finally lands an ultimate, but sets himself up to get smacked by SoaR. Big ult coming out of the mid lane, hits 2 players. Watson able to heal up while Rapio able to escape. Medieval gets poked out a little bit by the Hunter's ultimate, but it's ultimately Zachsy wrapping around on the back, taking down Watson. And they surround, and it's 2 for the Hunter. Atonement falls down as well. That's a big kill.
But it was all Zachsy. The rest of that fight wasn't great from either team there whatsoever, but Zachsy's rotation paid better dividends than that of Atonement. He used the ultimate looking for the cleanup. They're looking for the gold here, which is a bit risky.
Uh-oh, Kaeydan pulled in the nice dash, gets him out of the way of the hammer, but not out of the way of the chain flail. Jump on top of Zachsy. That's 2 for the big Gnome, and now he's surrounded by 2 players on SoaR, the third just backing. Gnome looking to make that happen. Hits 2 players with a bludgeon. It's a 3-on-3 as Rapio joins the party. Can he get it through the wall?
Oh, he did.
Gets a double tap, but not a kill.
Not going to jump through that because what he's trying to do is delay backs if he can, and he's actually stopping Medieval getting back to this fight again, which is allowing Rival to look towards the Gold Fury. The bad news is they took a lot of damage there, specifically Gnome by going so deep, took so much damage that they couldn't tank it up long enough to secure the gold, especially with Stormy's presence being there.
Even without the Gold Fury, Team Rival are keeping this 2,000 gold steady. Now up to about 2,100. Previously, it was only 1,700. So still a couple of 100 gold walking in the right direction as Team Rival. Almost able to pick up that gold, but unfortunately, like you said, took a little bit too much damage. So much so that just the presence of a single Osiris was enough to make him walk away.
But now they're going to have to keep an eye onto that Medusa as well, because giving Medusa 2 kills early on can allow them to establish even more of a lead.
Not just the fact that it was 2 kills, but 1 kill was against a direct lane opponent. 5,300 to 5,000 even or so, wave to wave for the Anhur right here. They're separated by about 200 gold when Anhur had the lead above Medusa before. Very important kill coming out there for the Medusa.
Mid lane, Watson's in trouble again. Has to use the ultimate, knocked up by the ultimate coming out from Kaeydan there, but SoaR looking to disengage, knowing that Rapio could be around.
And he's hanging out. And he'll land back down. Just not an opportunity for the jungler. I don't mind that. That's an ult that has to happen. Because if that team fight becomes a team fight instead of a walkaway, you need to have that jump in, and there is a delay with Thor ult, etc. So I don't mind that happening. But does SoaR know is the question.
More than likely they should know that that was going on because they realize the jungler's not on the map right now, and if he doesn't appear, it probably means he was ulting somewhere, not necessarily buffs because all the buffs were down. So they should know. They were more than likely he was hanging around looking to ult. Not a big thing for them. What you can actually see out of SoaR though right now is they're testing the Zhong Kui. They're testing to see how much burst they can put onto the Zhong at this stage. Can we kill him in time? No. Okay, reset. Can we kill him now? And it's just testing the water to see how tanky Zhong is and when they're going to have the burst to bring him down before he can really turn it around.
3-on-3 as Medieval comes around from the rear. Finds a little bit of a knock-up on the support, and Rapio's the one dealing damage to Kaeydan, and the accuracy out of Atonement is incredible! 9 out of 10 of the Spirits find a home, and that's enough to take down Kaeydan.
Watson's out of position, no one's still around. Jacob pulls one in to provide time to get Gnome here, but still, Watson falls down, followed quickly after by Jacob.
Big play coming out from Gnome over there, trying to separate, but unfortunately, Big play, small result. Not enough to help his teammates out. It's a 2-for-1. SoaR the better side. And with this tiny window, they're looking for the gold.
The only reason they're in a better position because they can go to the Gold Fury here. Gnome's already half health, having to deal with Stormy. Into the sky goes Rapio, though, looking to secure it.
Gold Fury already taken by the time Rapio comes down. Looking for the kill on his Zachsy. He gets it, and he's looking for an exit. Beads to try and get out of the slow, but StormyRays, he's good.
And Gnome, though, going to continue to chase, slowing down the Bacchus again, but the Bacchus flops in place. And now the chain CC will bring Gnome down. Never mess around with a drunk man, I swear.
He did it. Stormy and Kaeydan protect the support. Medieval right there. Right, that play is, that's like Father's Day for a dad, right? You're very rarely giving up for the support. He's feeling so good about that one. Every once in a while, the team comes through and makes a play for the support.
He'd have been fine even if he died there. If he died there and the team picked up the kill, he's okay with that. That's just an extra window of win. This is the fact that he lived.
But that's what he's used to.
Sure, that's what I mean.
I'm saying it's the support that makes the play for the team 99% of the time. He's going to die. That's part of his job. When the team comes through, blows the ultimate out of the jungler, Kaeydan drops the tornado, everybody tries to keep him alive. It's got to feel good for the support.
This portal demon's very important. If SoaR actually managed to skim this away before RvL realize it, that could have spelled a bit of a disaster for RvL, considering that they've kept pace or held the lead for so long. That would have actually put SoaR in the lead if they found that.
Well, with that Gold Fury, they completely cut anything that RvL had before. That's a tie game here at 12 minutes. Very important plays coming out from SoaR Gaming.
And just before we saw the intensive fight around the Gold Fury, the initial fight where Atonement managed to get that Desert Fury off, it was good to see Atonement on the Anhur getting out of the lane before the Medusa. He has to get into these jungle fights more often because that's where Anhur really does shine.
So you see here with Rapio, with SoaR, completely different game from game number 1. This is what happens when SoaR are the aggressors or are making the plays on their own terms, I should say. They're not always the aggressors, but SoaR are not getting surprised, and that's why SoaR is really being able to make an impact, as opposed to game number 1, where he was just kind of getting stepped on.
Yeah, pretty much. And now he's just going to correct the issues. And some of that is comfortability of being on the stage as well. Because what you're going to have to do there is try to get yourself set up to relax and be comfortable in your environment, get the situation down, realize how your opposition is going to play too. Are you the focal point? Are you the one that they're going to try and pick off? Yes. Then let's play a little bit deeper.
And sometimes, when it comes down to, it's also playing within your team. Sometimes the things, we look at game number 1, and SoaR and Medieval weren't on the same page. Sometimes you just want to punch your teammate in the face for the things that they do in the middle of the game. But other times, this time around, the Bacchus fitting in there so much better. The belly flop setting up for the crush instead of going the other way around. This game is looking a lot better for SoaR already.
Now, the window of trying to pick on this Zhong in the mid lane is starting to close for SoaR, though, because Watson has invested into the Warlock Slash, not only giving him damage, but more survivability in terms of health. And more than likely, as time goes on, I'm expecting Ethereal to probably come out here as well, just to give him even more health to survive.
Yes, I think that their chance of ganking for a kill is gone. But don't you want to keep showing presence in the mid lane to screw up that Warlock Sash?
Yeah, but they need to, that's what I'm saying now, like the window's closing for them. It's not closed just yet because he's still stacking up this Warlock Sash.
He's just slowly...
It's just slowly closing the window, that's all it is. It's like, and one by one, minute by minute, it's going to cause problems for SoaR to be able to pick off the Zhong. The burst damage will be significant still, but it's not going to be significant enough to affect a Zhong who can sustain that back up again.
Sometimes that window is like the paint sticks to it.
Get off the window. Get off the window, Tom. Get out of the window. Use the door.
There's no Thoth in this game.
Giannis would have been better. He opens the door.
That's a door, Thoth, yeah.
What does Thoth do?
Opens the window. He's got that's his whole thing.
He just ults and kills people. That's all I know.
Hoping for a window out. Can't find it.
Still has Eagle's Rally, though. That's a game of chicken with these solo lanes. Sometimes these solo lanes that have similar ultimates, like Osiris with Lord of the Afterlife versus Bellona and the Eagle's Rally. Sometimes you play the game of chicken of who ults first loses the engagement sometimes.
Yeah.
So you've got to hold it to the last second and hope that they choose the wrong angle and don't think you're going to go the same way.
Yeah, I thought I was going to see more out of Kaeydan. But that was a conscious decision from the jungler and solo lane not to invest a lot into Gnome. They want to make sure that they're available for some of the other exchanges.
I will say, Rapio's had a bit of a better performance this game up against Kaeydan in the jungle as well. His positioning, what he's been doing, has been much better. The double taps connecting more. Kaedan's been a little bit lackluster for the time being on the gank pressure, but his choice of targets aren't necessarily the easiest ones to bring down, and that's why he can be suffering.
Yeah, that's a key choice that Kaedan's making right now. A little bit of poke on Jacob. The SoaR is able to deliver the crush there.
Want to see exactly where Watson goes next. He's going for penetration right now. I'm expecting Spear the Magus to come out here. Spear very, very strong right now, but a little bit underestimated by a lot of people. But when you're somebody like Zhong who has a lot of dot damage, you're not necessarily after just that one bomb that's going to do all the damage in one hit.
I mean, Zhong, his ultimate and his first ability, the card, are going to be dot-based. 1, 2, there's 3 stacks of a theoretical spear already, just like that, before the team fight begins.
Yep.
Wow, this character just synergizes very well with the spear. That's just how that works.
And now it's just a waiting game again for the Gold Fury, because I'm expecting to see RvL the ones that try and set up for a Gold Fury earlier than SoaR do. Because SoaR got in a driving seat after a bad engagement. It was RvL that initiated their engagement. If RvL can get a better engagement off this time and get some wards down around the gold, they have superior opportunities to engage and force a fight with the likes of the pull from Sylvanus, as well as the walls from Rapio and the ultimate.
And what I like about what Jacob's been doing here for Team RvL is he's tossing that pull out every opportunity. He's working it like a raw ult. We see players use raw ult all the time because the cooldown is relatively low. With this Sylvanus, he's going for it every shot.
Yo, someone just saw Zachsy back right then, and look what he does straight away. Straight to the Gold Fury. This is fantastic play from RvL, but can they get it in time?
Kaeydan's here, Medieval's here, but Jacob's right behind them. This could be a good pincer move. Nice ultimate, jump out by the support, but damage coming out onto Kaeydan. He's got to dash away. RvL got the better of the jungle.
But now we see RvL need to disengage before Stormy gets too involved in this. Watson's in a bit of trouble. Rapio, they'll go straight back for Kaeydan.
He's going to be off the mark on both the ult and the spin. Pulled together, that's going to be his Aegis. Kaeydan and the Medusa, they collapse and try to deal with the jungle, but Watson's the first to fall. Meditation used by the blue team. Chase is still on. Zachsy takes care of Rapio on the back, while everybody on the front chases on. Nice jump up top. Atonement gets knocked up next to Jacob. But Shaliber and Stormy could not keep up.
No, they could have, but SoaR was like, no, we don't fight, we go gold, because gold's more important right now. Stormy still in the front, joined by Medieval again on the back as Gold Fury's down. Medieval's still on his own, though, and he's not listening to his team, who are not with him.
No, that was all zoning. He's zoning, he gets a double stun, forces out the beads. I like that play. Didn't
need to zone anymore. The Gold Fury was down, he got the message about that. That was him expecting his team to follow up and continue fighting. His team did not want to do that, though. The Gold Fury going to SoaR was all down to RvL again, though. They found what they were looking for. They had an opportunity with Zachsy back in. They go for Kaeydan. Kaeydan survives, and instead of resetting and going for the Gold Fury again, Rapio goes to the back line, Stormy joins the fray, and when Stormy joins the fray, the rest of the team is in trouble.
All right, I got a better one for you this time around. Famous mistakes, okay? I didn't even have to look this one up. You know the teabag was a mistake?
Was it?
Yes. So there was a tea salesman that delivered little samples in these bags, and the people just put them in their hot water.
I thought you were talking about a different type of tea bag.
The Street Fighter one, right?
Yeah, that was the type of one. I was like,
anyway,
okay.
My point being, SoaR make a miserable mistake by backing in front of the opposition without anybody really paying any mind to it. They just back, and oh my goodness, that's a terrible mistake. But somehow it winds up right, and they wind up on top, just like the guy that invented the tea bag.
Tea bags are cool. Tea leaves are cool too, but that's all I'm going to say. 19 minutes in, the Pole Demon is available right now for RvL to look at if they want to go for this. But right inside you can see Stormy and Medieval looking towards Gnome, but he gets away from the flop.
Yeah, I've seen this one before. 2 players going to collapse on Gnome. He's just going to walk away by pushing the thumbstick in the right direction, and nobody's going to get anything out of anything.
Not so sure about both of them going Nemi and Lion in this game. I can understand it from StormyRays' point of view. Still not sure whether we needed Gnome to really go for that. He could have gone for the breastplate. Nemian's pretty solid, but at the same time, there is other options.
Yeah, well, with the Nemian, I actually really like that for versus SoaR's team, because you have Osiris, a Hunter, and the jungle.
Physical, yeah.
Yeah, even Kaeydan is going to be basic attacking in between and in and out, so I don't mind the Nemi line so much.
Now look at this fight from RvL. They're trying to force the Portal Demon and keep SoaR contained. SoaR are happy, you know why? Because who's in the left-hand side right now? It is Zachsy split pushing.
And Rapio's going to get away from there. Portal Demon's in trouble. Let's listen to SoaR as they try to fight on RvL.
It's fine. They got it.
They got it.
Exactly.
I'm coming.
Rapio's one shot. Thor hammer.
I'm looking at Thor hammer now. Get him.
Thor's Aegis.
Oh,
he's over the wall.
You're fine.
Whatever, we got 2 suits, fine, that's worth. Thor got out, unfortunately, but
Yeah.
No, Medi can get him.
Can we push left? No, he's too fast.
No,
Just
just
push
back
mid.
up.
Medi, play safe.
No, they're
Medi,
teleporting. Guys,
Oh,
you
yeah,
guys
get out.
you guys need to back up.
Gnome is just on Scylla, on Shaliber, these fights.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm teleporting mid if they're pushing mid right.
Just defend it.
There.
I can get a big all here.
I need a come. You need it. Alright, yeah. I'm coming.
Yo, sorry, yo, on her jump down.
Don't get poked, they can't do anything.
Yeah.
Thor's there here.
Bump in 9.
Thor's coming behind Shelver, behind you.
Alright, I show.
Yes, sir. Yo, can we fight mid? Yo, they're dying.
Let's hammer! Thor, TP to hit!
I'm out. I'm back.
Yo,
Thor's
shot.
I got nothing.
On her jump.
That's his beats.
Oh, thank you.
Nice.
I'm coming. I can do big damage. Go to Sylvanus. Dead.
Good shit, baby.
Push mid.
What's
Nice
that
shit,
move?
boys.
Me and Zach are on our way. Right now.
I have a flop and 5.
I'm gonna split the map here. I'm gonna go left.
Okay.
Yo, Rapio's beats are down again.
I think that listening was pretty much exactly what it's like to watch SoaR. Everything is going awry, and then somehow somebody makes a mistake.
And they're an idiot.
You're an idiot.
That's all I heard. All I heard is sporadic comms of like, kill him, don't hit him, get out, get in, do this, do that. You're an
Watch
idiot.
out. Yeah, and then the only thing that they all say in unison is, you're an idiot.
You know what they're doing though? They're always doing that to Rapio. Have you noticed? Over and over again, they're popping off at Rapio. They're trying to get under his skin the entire time.
Is that what you're doing by saying
they
pop
realize over and over again that if they can get into Rapio's mind and start to mess with his play, it is a big influence to how well they can perform in these games against RvL. Because Rapio is really, to an extent,
He's the guy.
The guy on this team that you have to look for to make the plays, to allow Watson and the rest to do their thing as well.
Like I said, Watson once upon a time was the guy. Now it's Rapio. He's really the guy.
But it's because he's the most outspoken as well. When you're the most outspoken guy on the team and you can shut the most outspoken guy up, the rest of the team's like, yo, our most outspoken guy's not. That's the same thing as hockey, right? When you have those fights in hockey, it's to boost your team in some way or form.
Exactly.
And knocking out the best player on their team, the best fighter on the team, makes you go, oh, that's depressing. And it makes an influence. Mind games are so important, and console know it best.
Absolutely. I mean, these guys are some of the more vocal players in the league. Across scenes, honestly. That's really why I really enjoy watching the SCL, is the personality comes through on the battlefield as well. We saw Kobe taunting out after the kills before. We see the collapse onto Rapio on the back end and then shouting, you're an idiot. You know, one thing that I do want to mention, a positive, because I think a lot of what we said about SoaR's comms were relatively negative, just a cacophony of voices. Shout out to Zachsy. He's just sitting there knowing there's a ton going on, just being real quiet, and then when everything does go the right way, he just says, listen, man, good stuff, boys. That's what you got to do.
Well, I mean, to be fair, the only reason he said that is because he was split pushing a tier 2, and the other thing I heard at the start of that was, I'm coming, and then when he got there, it was over. So Zachsy didn't really have much he could do there.
He sat there and he said, I'm going to get a big ult, and then did not get
there
a
we
big
go.
ult.
The big ult was, like, technically not the biggest of ults I've ever seen, but at the same time, I've got to give a little bit of credit to Atonement for that pillar that blocks some of that damage as well. Just decided the zone a little bit more to make it a little bit more impactful. But SoaR now,
look at that.
Get a free gold.
Look at that.
Free gold.
Look at that.
I'm looking.
Free gold.
Yep.
Look at that. Look at that gold.
But that's what happens when you lose a team fight for RvL, and then they're getting under your skin now, and you're just giving away things that you wouldn't have given up before. They're the ones that tried to force it in mid, but now it's SoaR's turn, and they get one.
Rapio's looking for the ultimate, but he's a hair too late. Shaliber already took out the support. He tried to land, and I emphasize try. Just not going to find the target.
Surprised Rapio didn't look for the 3 targets that were grouped together then. He could have at least hit 2 with that, but it looked like they really wanted Shaliber. And if they keep trying to just hone in on one of these guys to focus over and over again, it's going to be a detriment to him. Without a support now, no sustain on the side of RvL.
And Shaliber's sitting there like, fool me once, homie. You got me in game number 1 where you guys farmed me, and then late game I trucked it. Well, guess what? Game number 2, I'm still going to truck it, but you guys are going to farm me in the beginning. I've already been fooled. You can't fool me again.
And now it's RvL's job to try and defend against the Portal Demon, which is started up here in any second as it's about to respawn. That's what SoaR are after, because if they get the Portal Demon, they just keep winning these small, little easy objectives that RvL are just not there to contest.
25 exactly on the clock here. It's 11-8 with SoaR significantly in the lead of game number 2 in what could be just a 2-game series. It's a best of 3. RvL really trying to dig their way out of this, but just 7,500 up is SoaR Gaming at the moment. Team RvL trying to fight into the Portal Demon attempt. Let's listen to the Blue Squad as they take on North America.
Nice job.
One Susano, one Susano.
Yeah, I've got nothing.
No
I've got
one's
Rudy, I've got
going in,
Rudy.
man.
Just trying to get Susano.
I've got nothing.
Speed to Negus, speed to Negus.
That's his ulti. Susano,
I've got nothing.
Just proof up.
that's a mean.
Look at Bacchus, go for Bacchus now.
Yeah, Bacchus.
Son?
I've got
I can't
nothing.
get
Someone else.
Can
Yes,
you
we
reach that
can
or not? Okay, no.
Yeah, we
Oh, fuck, no.
can do it, right?
Sylla's looking at the back, right?
Can we just do this? Can we not do this?
I stopped
guys?
still back in,
Hello?
I stopped still back in.
Yeah, keep doing it. Yeah, we can do that.
Do you want me to zone or DPS? Sylla's still
It's only
Slow's coming.
Okay, we have to.
Uncertainty and unhappiness, the two things that I hear in Team Rivals comms. That is not
Well,
a
hold
good
that.
look.
Wait a second, because StormyRays has just kept him all busy. Now Kaeydan's here too. The ghosts are unleashed from Watson. But look how tanky Stormy still is. He just ate the whole ultimate from a Zhong and walks away.
Rapio ults in at the beginning of that team fight, misses, which has not been the case in game 2. He's been relatively accurate outside of that one ult in the mid lane. And he misses, and right away, I heard the dejection in his voice. He goes, guys, I got nothing.
You know what? Comms there from Rival. The issue I can tell with them is they don't have a leader on the comms.
Yes.
Because they're all taking it in turns to shout out what primary target should be. And they had selected, you heard one person on the comms there say, yo, Bacchus, focus Bacchus. And they all went, yes, let's focus Bacchus. But if they were all watching that fight, they would have all seen that Flop was available and they committed looking for him. You've got to have the guy, whoever's in charge. The rest, one person should be leading the team fight.
Yep.
The rest should be communicating information that's important. Bacchus flop down, beats down on Scylla,
To be fair,
Osiris ult down. Like, that is the information you want. And you just want one voice that goes, Bacchus flop down. Okay, focus Bacchus. It's that simple.
That's what has made Jeff Hindley's team so successful. That's what has made, we just watched Astral Authority. Bro, Chacho does that in the team fights. And to be fair to Rival, at least they're on even plane because SoaR's comms sound exactly the same. But they're happy. Team Rival isn't, and I think it has something to do with the big lead SoaR's got.
And then that is down to the lead as well, yeah. But at the same time, if you are the losing team, that's when you look at the communication closer because you can get away without having the communication sometimes if you're winning the game because nobody can put a fault wrong. The difference is when you do get to hear the comms and you realize they're losing, you're like, well, definitely a few things that need to be correcting here, boys.
Right now, another team fight coming out. SoaR more present than Team Rival. Big jump. JacobHL taken out at the beginning of the team fight. Rapio enters back, taking down the mid laner. Watson is relatively low. The ghosts are coming out, and the ghosts will be joined by Watson himself. Zachsy on top. RvlAtonement gets another one. That's going to be Kaeydan's turn, and it's 3 for 2 so far.
And Rapio's going to run away before the flop comes through from Medieval as well. Down the right-hand side. I don't think SoaR should really chase this if they can help it. Paul Demon did go to Rival.
It's about setting a statement. Pull him in and put him down. D aside for SoaR Gaming. Team Rival, they're all in the base. Fire Giant.
I don't know if they're going to do Fire Giant right now. Not without Zachsy and not without Shaliber. Kaeydan and StormyRays are less than half health. It's going to take them too long. After they can't do it, they're going to have to just take that fight as a result of them. They lost the Portal Demon. Just be clear on that. They lost the Portal. I'd look for Gold Fury right now as they're still waiting for respawns, but Shaliber's back, so maybe they can do it now.
Kaeydan wants it so bad. He showed up, and as a Susano, he's sitting there like, hey, man, I got a Hydra, so I can do it myself.
Notice who dies in these engagements for Rival first every single time too. Sylvanus.
HFA.
Which is showing you that SoaR are consistently going in on the Osiris over and over again. Which means the rest of the team have to realize that if Sylvanus is getting focused, they themselves are not getting focused, which means you can unleash your damage and get it out there. If Sylvanus continues to be focused like that and Rival don't correct it, they're going to lose this set.
The body blocks are live, but Gnome, well, he's a tanky Bellona. He'll be able to walk away no problemo for the moment. SoaR Gaming, they've got a nice little stance here around the Fire Giant. This is one where you start it and you take the fight afterwards.
Sure. And this is also what I do now. They're actually waiting for the portal to run out, which he just did. So now they can take the fight again. And look who it is! It's on the Sylvanus again!
And Shaliber lining up his shot, brings the support down to about 20%. Kaeydan still on the charge while Zachsy takes care of Gnome. Rapio lands on top of Zachsy. That's a 1-for-1 so far. 2 for Rapio as he takes down the second. Shaliber's down for the count.
But Watson has no ultimate available, but he's still going to be able to help Atonement out and pick up Medieval. StormyRays is that Osiris. Jacob's going to get out this time and survive. Kaeydan forced to Aegis early on, but Atonement will fall.
He's the only one alive now. StormyRays got to find a way out. No ultimate available to jump over the wall. Looking for the ship damage, finds it on the support. Very low, gets tagged by the card. Looking for the Alja. and that's going to be Rapio. Deicide going the way of Team Rival this time. Rapio and Watson.
And that's correcting what Rival realized. Sylvanus game focus every time. Although, Jacob, I'm going to call you out now, my friend. I have no clue what you were thinking going back into that team fight on 1 health as a Sylvanus. Yeah, help your squad, but sometimes you just got to give it up. Luckily enough, though, I like what Rival chose to do here after. They know they've got a nice big window where people are still not respawned yet. Get 2 towers in the mid lane, opens the map up for themselves a little bit more, makes less of a defensive opportunity from SoaR to siege from.
Just over a half hour on the clock. Team Rival take the last sequence, but they still find themselves trailing by about 4,000 gold. 16 to 20 is the kill count. SoaR still in the lead, but the momentum behind Rival sails.
Want to see what happens with Watson now, because I'm not sure if it's going to be Gem of Isolation, which is a pretty good go-to for the likes of a Zhong, or if it's going to be the Ethereal, I believe, that he'll pick up instead here. It's going to be the Gem.
I really want to mention the JacobHL build. Love what he built into. He got the Winged Blade.
Well, that's only just come online right now, that Winged Blade. Yeah, but I do like the fact that he went for it because of the fact Osiris is consistently slowing him. Not just him. Bellyflop has a slow in it, you know? Did you know that?
Yep.
Bellyflop has a slow. A lot of people don't know that. Even I learned that after having a diamond back. So I'm like, why has that got a slow at the end of it? Not only that, but then Crush has a slow as well. So consistent amounts of slows, which allows him to proc the extra mobility and some extra health to keep him topped up.
Yeah, Crush and the Osiris in general. Everything about Osiris is really
But because
scary.
they keep committing to him, they are wasting a lot of these slows onto him, which allows him to potentially escape because of that.
You want to add insult to injury by the Midgardian mail on the Osiris. Anybody basing attacking Osiris is going to get slowed, and then he's going to turn around and slow
you again.
Oh, that's obnoxious.
Yep. But the dance begins again, and with how the last 2 fights went, if you remember, Rival got the Portal Demon, SoaR won the fight. Next fight, Rival win the team fight, get 2 towers in mid lane. Now this next fight, important, Gnome goes in, but he's already half health.
He jumps in all by himself, and he's going to be toasted as Medieval picks up the kill off the assist from everyone else. Watson gets the kill on a Zachsy, 1 for 1 so far. Big meditation out of SoaR, and now they're able to be a little bit healthier as they fight into Atonement, who ages away the damage from the mage, and Shaliber goes down to Rapio.
They're trying to ignore Watson, and you can't ignore the Zhong. They're still trying to beat on the other members as Watson's just continuing to rack up damage, and Rapio's doing the same thing as they're looking to pick off others. StormyRays has got to adjust his sights now. He needs to put his sights back on the Zhong, not only because he's going to be able to be a frontliner and deal with the damage that Zhong is going to put out, he can consistently keep keep Watson in combat slowed at the same time as Lord of the Afterlife makes you healing 0.
Well, one of the big things that is going to force Stormy to change, well, he's waiting to change his target right here. When he finishes up those chin side, he's really going to be able to just shred the Zhong as well as the other targets. But that's going to be one of the reassessment of the target is when he finishes up those chins.
Worst problem is for both teams is neither really gets an advantage off that last team fight. If anyone, it's SoaR right now, is they've held the Portal Demon, but they've got to reset it again once Watson shows up.
He's just going to do a little bit, but not too much. Chase the enemy off of the Portal Demon as quickly as he can. Shinsai not quite finished just yet. He's got to be so close to that item.
Look at the play damage, though, on the left-hand side. You've got a Zhong and a Thor, the top 2 for Rival. But look, there's 3 members at least above both of them on the side of SoaR. The damage output from SoaR is a lot higher in these team fights than Rival. We talk about sustained damage, and that's what Zhong brings. The burst is what SoaR have here.
And so right now, they're 4,000 gold in the lead still. Team Rival have done a fantastic job of fighting back into this. 4,000 gold is still a lead for SoaR, but I do consider Team Rival kind of even here. Watson gonna get stunned
He's in trouble.
This could
He's in
be
a lot
bad.
of trouble now. The double knockups in a row. But on the backside, look what Rapio did. He went straight for Zachsy. Zachsy's dead. Jacob cleans up Shaliber as well.
Shaliber dead is the biggest part of this team fight and why Rival could win the fight. Watson picks up another one as the Portal Demon is now the target.
What is this game right now? Medieval could come around and secure the Portal Demon if he gets a flop up at the right time.
Too late.
Too little, too late. Now he's going to have to waddle away, but I don't think they're going to let him go for free.
Nah, Medieval's in trouble. He'll be able to jump over the wall, ain't no problem, but he's got to stay local because the Fire Giant is clearly the next target. Rapio starts it up, teammates come through the portal.
Medieval has The ultimate available still. The Bacchus Intoxicate is huge for securing, but they're focusing him down before he can get in. If he can flop on that Fire Giant right now, he might be able to steal it. No, Rival, get the Fire Giant.
There's the Intoxicate. Rapio puts him down. Stormy trying to find an exit, but it's 5-on-1. Stormy is tanky. Stormy is thick. Stormy is HP, but Stormy is down. 5 players take on the single solo laner. Deicide as all members of SoaR are down, but look at the timing. Shalaber's up. Zachsy's up, and 5 seconds on the jungle.
Credit where it's due. Rapio played really well this game. As the game went on as well, he made him big, impactful ultimates. Focus on the correct targets in these engagements too. From my point of view, though, SoaR, what they've been doing wrong this game is they've took their foot off the gas all of a sudden. They've given a window for Rival, and Rival are looking to take the whole game off it.
Listen, man, it ain't over till the big Bacchus sings, and right now, JacobHL is very low. There's the ultimate. Zachsy's gonna take out Watson. SoaR's looking for the re-engage. JacobHL very low, uses the ultimate, but it's momentary. Kaeydan gets the kill.
He sacrificed himself, but for no good, because Gnome should still get picked off here. Gnome now has to battle, realizing he can't escape. Over the wall with the Armor Monster. 3 kills the way of SoaR, and as I said, SoaR took the foot off the gas. Well, Rival overestimated what they had with that Fire Giant on all 5 members, and now they're going to lose a tier 2 in mid at least.
Listen, man, when you're down for so long, I understand the bloodlust that you can get when you take the lead, but I say it all the time, Graham. Play the lead, but don't let the lead play you. Team Rival got high up for their own success, and now they are just looking like they're going to get stepped on.
Rapio was just trying to buy time. That's all he's doing here more than not. It wasn't the greatest play in the world from him. He might be able to pick up a kill with a double, and he will!
Fancy! Fancy!
That's SoaR getting baited way too much, though, because SoaR, all he was trying to do is slow them down and going for the Phoenix. There was only 2 members of Rival alive to defend that Phoenix. Rapio doing what he did there, looking like a complete moron, walking around in circles, was actually stopping SoaR taking the Phoenix.
No,
so
absolutely.
it works out.
No, it totally works out. But this Gold Fury is a very important one, Graham. These next team fights, not going to be as clean. Chinsai on the Osiris. I mentioned it before. With this pickup, he goes from Osiris to Osiris. He just slaughters people. Ooh, I'm excited.
We'll see how it plays out, because right now for me it's a comedy of errors as this game has gone on for me, and it's whoever makes the biggest error loses now. Because that's all it is, it's mistakes. Why was Rival so far up? The way they walked towards that middle Phoenix, not expecting to see Shalaber there with a root that hit 4 people. If you didn't notice that root hit 4 people that set up for this turnaround to come about. Then, immediately after that fight, what happened? SoaR's like, hey, we got an advantage, and Rapio pretty much just causes them a problem for no reason. They could have just ignored him if they wanted to and stayed grouped or pick him off. Instead, they chose both, and in the end, they only get a Phoenix. Sorry, they only get a tier 2 and a Gold Fury.
Listen, man, sometimes your mistakes keep you alive. The pacemaker was invented on accident. That keeps you alive. But Marie Curie, she died because of her mistakes. So it's a blade's edge right now. We're seeing which team can really climb the mountain. 24-26, teams separated by 2,000 gold. All of it irrelevant. It's even playing for both teams. Team Rival fighting for their survival, trying to bring this one to a 3rd game. SoaR, they want out. Clean this one up.
With how this match is right now and the position of the map and the teams and the length of the game so far, next team fight around the Fire Giant, which will be where that team fight happens, is that Fire Giant. That next team fight, if one team considerably knocks down 4 of them, this game is over. The respawn times are too long, the Phoenixes are exposed, and the Titan will be shredded by the amount of power both these 2 teams have now. So one mistake, and we were talking about, I think it's whoever makes the worst mistake. Well, the next fight will be the worst mistake.
It's really fun the way Smite works out. Early on, it's very simple. 5 abilities, each player just has a single ability. You got 1, maybe 2 items if you count your starters. Very simple. Then the mid game comes and Smite gets very complex. It's all about combos and this, that, or a third, and trying to get the stuff after the stuff and objectives and wave clear and farming. And then the end comes, and it's simple again. Win the team fight and don't get picked off! Watson gets his bead just wasted!
And I'm surprised we don't see Rival re-engaged now, but they were a little bit late on that with Gnome rotated in, because Watson got a good card off. SoaR got what they wanted, though. They got the beads, and that's why they fell back. They went, we got beads on Watson, which means next team fight, we can look to all-in him again.
Ooh, very scary stuff for Watson. Hinderman, I'm going to ask you straight up, what team do you want to listen to?
Rival.
You want to listen to Rival? Let's listen to Rival while they dance around the Fire Giant and wait for SoaR.
Osiris. Medusa's
Fight,
coming now.
fight, fight.
Medusa's coming now.
They're coming
In the back.
Nice. So Medusa's 1 HP, Medusa's 1 HP.
Medusa's out of the fight. Medusa's out of the fight.
I got mad,
Susano's out, Susano's out.
Kill him.
That's ours.
Nice job.
Back, we got
Back and
TP.
pull.
We
Don't
got
back
pull,
here,
we got
don't back here.
Yeah, Paul, we got pull.
Yeah, I know, but that's what I mean. They're gonna stop you back if you back there. Just leave. Medusa's coming.
I'm up in 39. That Medusa should have died faster.
Yeah. We got both beads Aegis on her though.
Yeah, but my beats Aegis are down as well. I dove back
Bottom in
lane,
together,
killed
please.
Scylla and nearly killed her.
So we promised you that
Comedy of errors again. Like, come on. We just said, like, the one that makes the biggest mistake loses, and we just watched Watson lazy back that gets stopped, which means that they don't get the Fire Giant as quickly as they do, and now they've got Kaeydan and Zachsy back to defend it. What are you doing?
and the mistakes cancel out. Both teams made mistakes, so there's no win. We promised you that the next team fight would be the win. That was half a team fight because everybody ran away.
Only credit I've got to give there is Medieval's decision making and flopping in on Bacchus, hitting 3 or 4 a couple of times. Looking to peel for his carries as best they can is good. StormyRays is a little bit too excited right now for me.
He's an Osiris late game with Chinsai.
But here's the reason he's excited. No, the reason he's overly excited is because he keeps looking and go, oh, low health target. Turns his back at it. Oh, low health target. And there's so many low health targets for him that he can't select one. He's got crazy problems right now trying to select a single person. Just get on Watson.
Biggest problem
Get
there
on Watson,
in that
get on
team
Rapio,
fight.
pick one.
SoaR's mid lane misses the I'm a monster, unfortunately, and that's going to spell trouble.
Uh-oh.
Jumping in his Gnome! He's not going to miss that one. Gnome gets the kill on a Zachsy. Atonement low in the back end, but anybody clean him up? He's
Atonement.
looking...
Won't be
No!
able to get him.
The
Just towards the end.
Intoxicate misses!
Yep, didn't find the Intoxicate, and because of that, now it's a 2v4 right now. StormyRays now has to battle the whole army again, as he's left alone and isolate. Kaeydan ends up going back to base, and now that's the game. In my eyes, that should be game here after. There's no way they're going to go against a Fire Giant team. We're going to get at least a Phoenix off this too. The respawn time's 40 seconds. Sorry, 38. 37 is the next person up. It's up to Kaeydan on his own. No ultimate available to take on the whole squad.
Fire Giant easy in the hands of SoaR. In the hands of RvL, who now find themselves up in kills, 30-28. They've got the gold lead, which is it's nothing but bragging rights at the moment. 43 minutes in, one of the deeper games we've been here. And not just this weekend, but the Gauntlet weekend last weekend as well. 43, this one's going long, but I think we're coming towards the final moments.
This will be a tier 2 tower left. I don't think they're even going to try and push to the end, which I think is wise because of how they messed up last time they were doing that one. Go take the tier 2 on the left-hand side. Go for the final Phoenix on the left. They've got the team that can wait for Watson to respawn off this as well, which is buying them enough time to group up and get a bit more of a lead. Like, gold isn't going to be that relevant right now. Neither is
gold is
experience.
completely relevant.
Both of them are relevant, but with experience as well, because now it's only Medieval who's not level 20.
You'll get there. You'll get there.
The dream of a support, hit level 20. I swear that should be an achievement for Guardians as a whole to just hit level 20, because it doesn't happen that often when you're playing support. I mean, it does. You know the game should have ended a lot sooner, because that's when you get to see some really crazy out there builds from supports, like Soul Reaver on the side of Medieval.
Love it. I really like it. A lot of what happens to SoaR in these team fights is Team RvL are living by just a hair of HP. All of a sudden, Bacchus chooses the target, jumps on in, and that target is going to be brought down very, very low. Bam, all of a sudden, kill threshold much lower than you expected. That can snowball a team fight. All you need is one pick to make a 5-on-4 and take it away.
Can we see healing done, please? I just want to see how much Jacob's done this game on this Sylvanus, because I think the healing is a big difference between these two teams right now. 15,000 healing, it is making an impact, because look at the player damage. On player damage, it should tell you that SoaR should be winning this game right now.
Oh, yeah.
Just based off player damage. But it's actually survivability of RvL from being mitigating the damage, as well as the sustain from the Wisps coming into play. You don't see the healing for the Zhong on there, but don't forget the Exorcism card combo does resustain him back up.
Left side, most important lane here for RvL to push, the furthest away from the Fire Giant. So we're going to be playing defense here. Kaeydan joining up as he pushes up on the right side. Lane. Atonement finds a stun at the Stormy. Half HP already is the Osiris. Meanwhile, Gnome's dead. He's got no HP. Ultimate out of Atonement, not enough to bring down Kaeydan. That was the major target. Zachsy low as well, but everybody alive. Rapio looking for the cleanup, but players are too far gone to make it happen. Team RvL don't even get a chip off of the Phoenix as SoaR have a fantastic defensive set.
Well, what happened there is Gnome ults into the back at the same time. As soon as that happens, StormyRays ults onto Team RvL to make sure they cannot follow up and support Gnome. Gnome gets peeked because he goes way too deep away from his team, and that just gives SoaR a window to breathe, especially because their only other form of engage was Rapio's ult that he didn't recommit with and was a little bit late doing, and then Jacob used the ultimate on Sylvanus, means that he hasn't gotten engaged for the front line to tank up for them either.
Portal Demon goes to Team RvL. Honestly, not that big of an impact. Fire Giant not going to spawn anytime soon.
Portal Demon is the one thing that I can give some credit to, just because at this stage of the game, it's only open for 45 seconds, but gets you halfway across the map immediately, which you can technically find a pick off that because they don't expect you to be there.
That's what I was going to say.
It can help, just a little.
I was actually going the other way. At this point of the game, you walk through that portal, you could just die.
Oh, yeah, true. That's also the case.
You could just die. So, SoaR, RvL understand that. You can see Watson and JacobHL playing bouncer, allowing Gnome to come through that portal. If he walks through that portal blind, SoaR just collapses.
I promise you, if RvL win this team fight, the game is over. I said that earlier after one team fight would be enough, but it's clearly not, because neither team knows how to end.
How many gems you want to bet on it?
2.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
2.
I'll go 3.
3 that they're not going to end off the next team fight?
Yeah.
I'll take that bet.
All right.
All right, let's go.
I mean, there's gems right behind the analyst desk.
Yep.
That's where I'm getting my gems.
I was going to steal mine from
That's
there,
where
too.
I was going to steal it from.
Damn.
Well,
Which gems are they?
Probably Dance.
Could be Dance.
Well, Team RvL fighting for a little bit more than gems. A lot of money on the line here during our SCL Spring Finals. Right side Phoenix has respawned, and that's where Team RvL is going to directly go. Firebird falls down right away. Here's the pull-in from Kaeydan. Is it enough? Watson's low, but Zachsy's lower. Down goes the mid lane, but Shalaber's the man, taking down Watson. Still continuing on his Atonement, trying to find the basics on the back end. JacobHL is going to go down for the count. Kaeydan on the good side, 31 all.
And this is the worst timing for this to happen to RvL, because SoaR have 4 members alive. Fire Giant about to spawn. Only Gnome, Rapio, and Atonement have to defend against this Fire Giant now. Obviously, SoaR have to deal with minion waves coming in, but they can still look for a cheeky Fire Giant here with 4 members strong, Tom.
Well, Team RvL.
That's why Atomoment's got to hang around right now. He's got to stay here to make sure they don't do fire. SoaR could have looked for this, but I don't think they're confident in themselves to do it, quite clearly. Otherwise, I expected a rush down towards that Fire Giant, or even just straight down mid for a middle Phoenix.
Shalaber is making or breaking these team fights. When Shalaber gets picked on the back line, the team fight goes in RvL's favor, easy peasy. When Shalaber's able to actually have an impact, he is just the key to these team fights. The problem is Team RvL know it. That's why they're focusing here.
Gotta say though, Zachsy is the one that's really being focused though, because every time Watson goes in, that's all he's after. He's trying to take out Zachsy. Zachsy's like 10 times this game because he's been the focal point of this entire time of take out one of the AD carry damage dealers and things will get easier.
I love the fact that Shalaber's sitting 3-7 and 19. He's not actually the guy confirming the kills, and yet he's 3rd in damage for his team. He doesn't really care who winds up with the kills. He's just trying to eat.
Did you see someone jump to the leaderboard in terms of damage just lately?
John Queasy.
Yeah. You know why? He finally came online from the last couple of engagements, which means he really is swinging for the fences right now. Tank is sustainable enough for 1 rotation of abilities. If he can get 2 off, the game should be done. But from what I've seen from the way the games have been played so far, SoaR haven't really focused him that much and allowing him just to get a free rotation off every time.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. And looking at the players, honestly, a little bit of fatigue coming into it. 10 minutes or 11 minutes shy of an hour here, where our average game length is honestly under half.
Yeah, about 27, 28 minutes, I'd say, is the average game length. So going this late is not something the players would have experienced it before in the past in the ranked games and obviously in other competitive versions of Smite.
Yeah.
But the current patch situation, you don't go this late. So the question is, how good are you at playing the late game just lately?
That is a large...
And what we're learning is both of them can't play the late game.
Yeah, a lot of sloppy fights here. which have been both a pleasure and not so much to watch. JacobHL walks into Stormy, who's totally content with dealing damage to the support.
I like the idea of RvL trying to bring in SoaR right now and try and bring him towards the Fire Giant, because the problem is, though, is that the minion waves have been pushed out by SoaR in both the middle and the right-hand lane, which is where the Phoenixes are down right now. So they're not getting any pressure towards the Titan. They're not being pressured to have to go and farm those waves just yet. In a few moments' time, though, if RvL can hold this position, that will start to happen, where people from SoaR have to fall back. And you can see where Shalaber's going right now for one side, and Zachsy in the middle for the same.
And while everybody's split up, this is an ideal time for RvL to really find a pick. Honestly, it's an ideal time for anybody to find a pick, since everybody winds up splitting up.
But you talk
Team
about
RvL spreads out as well.
You talk about finding a pick. I'd love to see the pick from Rapio. Rapio should be looking for an ultimate on this Thor if he can, because he could look for Zachsy in the mid. He could look for Shalaber. But notice how Shalaber and Zachsy have both got a permanent pair with them right now. Kaeydan is babysitting one side and Medieval on the other.
Fire Giant half HP. This is going to be Shalaber looking for the big one. Can't find him, but Zachsy does. Jacob goes down, and that's going to be a good one. 1 for 1 as Watson takes him out from the mid lane. Gnome's in trouble. Gnome is 2. Gnome is 3.
Zachsy's on a triple.
With the triple.
Looking for the quadra as well, but Kaeydan will take that away. But what happened? Zachsy survived. The one time Zachsy doesn't get taken out at the start of the fight, he gets a triple, and then the game is done.
That's
the
it.
game is done.
That's it. You got 50 plus seconds on everybody but Rapio.
Rapio, go right. If Rapio goes to the right side, he could try and backdoor.
No way.
It's his only play. It's his only play.
Get real.
StormyRays has gone back, though. Thank God StormyRays realized
what
that.
What do you think he is? Captain of Titan Knots? Rapio
I'm not joking.
Can't do
With
this?
a fire minion wave on the right, he could have taken the Titan alone, potentially before they could take the Titan
well,
here.
Just for safety, Stormy goes ahead and backs to base. The Titan's under attack. 3 players in SoaR jerseys. Rapio, can he control them all by himself?
Well, even if he can control them all by himself, they're still going to be able to get the Titan down eventually, but Kaeydan's taking a lot more damage.
Rapio gets 1.
Why are you fighting him? Kill the Titan!
They have to. They got to fight through the one last man, and the Titan goes down. Kaeydan barking across the way. That's my man. SoaR goes ahead and takes it. We'll see you in semis.
In semis, but I don't know if they'll get past the semis with a performance like that. I'm going to give them straight brute honesty there. They've got a lot to work on going into those semifinals there. There's a lot of indecisions, misdirection of abilities that should have been invested elsewhere, and the front line just wasn't as solid as they should have been. RvL, though, they let that game slip.
Yeah.
More than once.
Yeah,
More than once.
That one's got to feel, I think the technical word is, that sucks. That can't feel good. That was their game 1, 2, 3, 4 separate times.
Sure.
Just let it slip. I don't know. I got excited when I saw Kaeydan barking, but at the end of the day, I don't think anybody walks away from this table feeling good and feeling clean.
No.
Both teams really have to focus on things to make themselves better. That game number 2, that's not one for anybody's history books.
I will say for RvL, though, they look better in Game 2 than they did in Game 1, at least for the performance they put on. Their shot calling towards the late stages of the game, though, is what really hurt them. The decision-making of like going through from the Phoenix on the right-hand side through to the middle Phoenix.
Sure.
They got picked by Shalaber with a root on 4 people. 4 people root on Scylla is a game changer. And that's exactly what it did, and bought enough of a time for SoaR to find the window to get back in.
Exactly. Between Shalaber and between Stormy over there in the solo, or excuse me, Zachsy was the big playmaker here in this one. 2 big names coming through in the clutch. Winds up taking 2 big games for SoaR Gaming. They'll head on to the semifinals, and to reflect back on the set, we've got Toli and Taco on the desk.
Thanks so much, F-Dot. And now I don't even know where to begin. I mean, when a game goes to 50 minutes with so much consecutive fights, back and forth, really hard to determine who is actually getting the better end for the longest period of time. But ultimately, it was Zachsy who finally got a chance to come through. For the longest time, he was just getting completely smorked down by the enemy team and just nowhere to run. And the fact that he finally managed to survive and participate in those team fights made all the difference.
That was the theme for Zachsy and the rest of his teammates. If he had his Aegis up, then they would win the team fights in the late game. He was doing work with the Medusa in the earlier stages and the mid stages, and it was RvL that was kind of struggling a little bit to start things off, specifically Rapio. You know, he was very confident going into this set specifically against SoaR, but he just kept missing so many abilities.
And why do you think it was so important, this overcommitment from Rapio? Like, what do you think he was trying to accomplish here?
I feel like he's trying to put the weight too much on his shoulders for him and the rest of of his teammates to try to make the plays happen, but he just goes and dives the backline, can't really make anything happen, and the rest of SoaR were able to capitalize with some of these objectives between the Gold Fury and then the Tier 1 tower afterwards.
And do you feel as though this overcommitment or the dives by Rapio were kind of funneling into RvL placing themselves out of position?
Well, their composition between the Zhong, the Sylvanus was basically committed all-in strategy, so it made sense as to why Rapio's overcommitting so hard, but he just wasn't getting the better end of it. The idea and the thought process were there, but the mechanics and the execution was slightly lacking.
But in the long run, I don't feel as though SoaR's execution was necessarily anything to be a super feels good man about. Like, I mean, there's just so much sloppiness, I'd say, on both ends, especially during that 35-minute mark where the brawling was just consistently nonstop, just over and over again, taking up the fights. And how did you feel about the target focus on a lot of those fights?
I mean, there was a lot of damage spread out for RvL because of the fact that they have the Zhong, they have the Sylvanus. You get those ultimates off, you're spreading all your damage all across the board. So once we saw the first deicide from SoaR around the 29-minute mark, and then the counter deicide from RvL, that was basically the theme for the rest of the game. Neither one of them could really secure the later objective, and this was the first one here from SoaR Gaming.
And I thought that this was an absolutely incredible point for SoaR. It looked like they were about to be nearing the ending stages of the game after this fight went so heavily in their favor. Zachsy just with the complete turnaround. And then again, the overcommitment from RvL. They tried to keep pressuring into this composition that SoaR had available to them. But with the assistance of Stormy and that heavy front line, just completely left alone, able to chase down Rapio. And it was actually Kaeydan who ends up hooking around the long way, cutting Rapio off and just, I mean, pulling from Susano, same story.
That's the power of the Susano, but unfortunately just too overzealous, getting out of position and overcommitted there. Gnome doing a good job diving the backline. This time Rapio did a lot of work, despite having a slow start in the early game. Between him and also the mid lane on the Zhong, was doing so much damage in this team fight that it allowed Team RvL to get the counter D side and stay relevant in this game.
Rapio bopping Zachsy on the noggin there was actually the main point for that team fight as a whole, because they were just unable to secure the damage that they'd been able to distribute the entire time between SoaR and Zachsy. Those were the heavy contributors to the damage dealing at this point in time. Sure, you've got Stormy slapping everybody around on that Osiris, but there's only so much that an Osiris can do when it comes to the long-term run of things. But ultimately, it was SoaR who managed to secure the 2-0 victory, and heartbreaking. Like, that's actually crushing for EU, not only just to fall to NA yet again on land, but it was to the same team, if anything. I know SoaR was a former member before, so that one stings just a little bit.
Just unfortunate for Team RvL, still not getting the better end of things against North America, but yet again, still a good performance overall by SoaR Gaming.
I think that SoaR certainly have a little bit to work on, especially when they want to carry things over into the semifinals for tomorrow. Definitely need to do some of their own research and everything and make sure that they are all good to go for tomorrow's matches, because that's probably going to be one of the most important aspects.
Absolutely. You got to take what you learned from this one and transition it for tomorrow in the semifinals.
And like I mentioned, I'm sure that SoaR is definitely looking forward to it. But now we've actually got StormyRays alongside of FDOT to talk about how that set played out.
Thanks a lot, Taco and Toli, standing on by here is StormyRays, the solo laner. You guys just played a marathon. Usually I don't ask this question. I think it's kind of lame, but I'm going to ask it. How do you feel right now?
Oh, I feel great. It feels so good to be back in solo lane, FDOT.
Well, that's what I was going to say before. But how do you feel after playing that long 50-minute game?
Yeah, you know, game 2 was sloppy, but, you know, when it comes to the late game, I just like watching my carries. You know, Zachsy, SoaR, they're just always going to outperform every single carry.
That's pretty much what we saw right there. The one team fight that Zachsy stays alive in, you guys win the game. Coincidence or correlation?
No. Pretty much like we were saying during like the whole like comms in game 2 is like if Zachsy lives, we win the game. It's pretty much how it works out.
Yeah, I mean between the two of them, SoaR and Zachsy were a really big part. I want you to talk to me about SoaR here. Game number 1, he kind of got stomped on, and then late game brought home the W. Game number 2, a lot less deaths. What was the adaptation that you guys made, either as a team or him individually?
Well, I mean, it's not really SoaR, it's the god. You know, Scylla doesn't really perform well early game. She's kind of a late game god. You know, once it gets past like the 15-minute mark is where SoaR starts to shine, starts to do a lot of damage, you know, blows people up. We were really good with our Bacchus Scylla combos or Susano pulls or whatever, or Susano ults, I mean, with Scylla ult. So yeah.
So talk to me about the relative level of confidence. You guys know that you're not the #1 team in the league, but you're the only team that has taken games off of those guys. You're here to fight. You're here to play. How confident are you guys coming into this weekend?
You know, I'm pretty confident because like we don't really know like what EU plays, you know, but like we have a good idea of what my guys play, and you know, Bro Chacho being on my team before, I know exactly what he's thinking. I know exactly what he's gonna do. Same thing with Shaliber.
Yeah, that's gonna be a really big play coming into it. I want to stutter step on this European matchup though. However, Rival, just straight up, are they that good? Where do they land on how good they are?
You know, it's not really Rival's fault. They just don't have a lot of practice in EU.
True.
Let's be straight up. I mean, they could be good, but they never get any good practice in.
Do you think there's some potential there?
Yeah, I think honestly, if like let's say like Rival played in NA, I think they'd be like 4th or 5th seed.
Beneath you.
Yeah, beneath me.
Clearly. Keep in mind, it's a 6-team league. Oh, wow. Listen to this guy right here. So you guys successfully take this one heading into semifinals. You've prepared a little bit. What are your plans for the next match?
For next match? Oh, I don't think I can say that.
All right.
We got a lot up our sleeve.
Okay, I'll respect that. Sometimes players come out and they're like, all right, well, we got to adjust this or do that. But sometimes you got some real secret stuff. So I'll respect it just a little bit. What can you tell me about the preparation that you guys have had for this weekend?
I mean, pretty much at every night, we just like go over picks and bans. You know, we get like pen and paper out. We're like, all right, what do we not want to deal with? What do we want to run? You know,
so
who's gonna carry this game?
So I want to interrupt you real quick. What happened in comms when Rival let Susano and Scotty through game #1 to ban Zhong?
Oh my God! You know, me and Kaeydan were just like, we just won the game. We just won. Like, I don't know why they don't ban those gods. Those gods are broken.
It was a little bit rough. We were joking around. We said, look, if SoaR didn't ban Cabrakan, they might have been able to get it themselves there. You guys had a fantastic composition. Do you worry ever about getting overconfident in moments like that?
With my team or myself?
Both, actually.
With my team a little bit. With me, no.
No?
Nah.
Really? You know your limits and everything?
I know my limits.
Well,
I'm the best.
That's what he says right now, but we'll see. Either way, you guys take the W. Definitely congratulations on that one.
Thank you.
Anything you want to say to the fans and friends at home?
You know, shout out to SoaR. You know, shout out to all the fans, our sponsors. You know, shout out to actually my best friend Blake. That's
Awesome.
what I want to do.
And touching on SoaR, last question before I go ahead and toss it over. You guys have been with SoaR for a little bit, and they seem really supportive. I see YouTubeable, I see General, everybody really bigging it up for the team. What's that like working with SoaR and the guys there?
You know, SoaR's awesome. You know, like they showed up at Worlds. You know, everyone actually on SoaR showed up at Worlds. It was really awesome to meet them. Yeah. You know, they're really supportive. You know, they kind of like feel like a family or friends. You know.
It's important stuff.
Yeah.
If you take the win, you'll be going on to play tomorrow on Saturday. It's StormyRays, formerly known as Words as Weapons, over there in the solo lane. Finally!
There we go.
For SoaR. We'll toss it back to you guys on the desk.